Hey, welcome back to Friends Who Want You to Win.
Welcome. We are getting really real today. We are asking you, what are you even doing with your life? Are your daily choices helping you create the life you want, or are they keeping you stuck in the same place?
That is something to think about. We're going to talk about how self-discipline is crucial in making real, lasting changes to your life.
Yes, and along the lines of that topic, we want you to think about how everything you are doing, all the choices you are making, are cultivating purpose, fulfillment, and passion for you. And we're going to give you the insights on how this is affected by your discipline, by your actions, or your lack of it.
You know what's so funny? When people hear discipline, they get so scared. You know, they think of it as hard. It's never like a positive experience when you hear about discipline, even though discipline creates big outcomes in your life, especially when you practice self-discipline. I know I always say this every episode, but if you practice this, you can get everything you want in your life. And I'm not kidding.
Because so easy.
It is. Yeah, it's the ability to control your emotions and behavior and desires in order to achieve your long-term goals. It's such a superpower. Such a superpower. Come on.
It really is. And the thing is I think a lot of people keep themselves from these topics, or these topics do feel confronting and overwhelming because we don't know where to start, right? Yeah. Which is understandable, because it's like, maybe I've tried before and things haven't gone the way I wanted it to. And that leaves a bit of hopelessness, and it kind of affects your self-esteem around that thing that you're trying to get done. And we want to, from our own experience, give you back that courage and confidence, because you have a process to rely on. We give you some tools in your tool belt in this conversation for you to know, okay, this is where I can actually go and start and make these things a reality by using strategies like inspired action, discipline, finding your passion and purpose, which we will talk about as well. That is a nuanced thing. It's different than you think. It's different
because you have to have a clear vision of what your passion and purpose is in order to practice self-discipline, in order to achieve your long-term goals. That lack of clarity that people have sometimes leaves them always open to not being disciplined. It leads them to being easily influenced by the outside world and not having that sureness within themselves.
Yes. And that's such a good point, because I see that lack of direction or clarity on your purpose and passion. It leads to people, like you're saying, not knowing how to discipline themselves. And then it causes all of this other stuff like overwhelm and confusion and trying to control certain things in your life because you feel out of control in reference to yourself. It's a really hard thing to not have answers to. And I think sometimes people are really fearful that they'll never find that answer. And they're like, what if I never figure it out? You know, what if I am never able to solve the question of what are you even doing with your life?
But this is why I think that step one comes from being brutally honest about your wants, your desires, and your needs, because there's such an importance to self-honesty and self-reflection. There's so much to be revealed. And once you reveal it within yourself and you have some type of direction of who you are and what you can create, then you can answer the question, what am I even doing? You actually have a clear answer to that.
Yes. But it starts with people avoiding that truth and their actions around that truth because it's uncomfortable. So it's like, if I don't have the answer, I don't want to have to face it because I don't know what to do about it. And so then I'm not honest, I'm not self-reflective, I'm not self-aware, and then I keep myself from the discipline that's required to actually make the change and experience something different. It's such a roundabout. You can really suck right down into that self-sabotage cycle there.
Yeah, actually, I never really thought about how much your sense of self and your vision of your life almost impacts your level of self-discipline. I've never really sat down and really thought about it till we were thinking about this particular episode. So first step is that you have to be brutally honest with yourself. And it's not about what anyone else wants for you. It's not about what life or expectations people have placed onto you. It's really you getting to know yourself. And that's such a big part, such a big key. And then aligning and staying consistent with it. Because once you fall in love with your own identity, or once you fall in love with the life that you're creating, or the life that's possible for you, I think it's, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Ari, it's a lot easier to keep consistent. It's a lot easier to be like, I want this to happen, and in order for this to happen, I'm actually going to do what I need to do to create it.
Yeah, I feel like that feels so far away for people, but that's exactly what it is. I think what you just said is 100% the truth, and I think a very small percentage of people have ever resonated with that experience. I think that's the challenge, is that people are like, I don't even, like, for example, one of the first steps in what you're talking about, being honest with yourself, is to take responsibility for your actions. And we've talked about this in other episodes, but if I don't know where I'm going, it's hard for me to reflect on why what I'm doing right now isn't on the right path to where I want to head. Because I don't have the answer of where I'm heading. So it's all of this, it's all masked in confusion, which makes me doubt myself, It's like, I don't really know anything. How am I supposed to start here if I don't know the answer here? How am I supposed to look at myself now if I don't know what I'm looking towards? And also, I think there are so many things that, I think there's so many choices that we make that we don't want to admit that we know the whole time is not on the path of where you want to be headed. Like, you know it in the back of your mind. You know that what you promised yourself when you woke up this morning, that you were going to get a 20-minute workout in, and you didn't get to it because you let yourself make other things your priority instead of that promise that you made. You didn't keep the promise to yourself. Those things don't sit right with us. But if you were to look back on it, you'd be like, yeah, I knew I wasn't on the right path for the things that I said I wanted. If I'm being honest, I know it wasn't the right path. So I feel like people get stuck in a variety of phases of those things. And then they're like, I'll just let it be. What am I even doing with my life? What am I even doing?
But when you're stuck with that confusion, you're still creating an outcome, right? Because although you are almost at the whim of whatever life throws at me, time is passing by, which we'll get to later about time and the element of time and why it's important to have that brutal, honest conversation with yourself now. And like, people avoiding it is not doing themselves justice. So it's like, we're asking the audience to sit down, think of every area of your life, think about relationships, career, every area of your life, and which area are you confused in? Which area do you not know what you want? And know that you can create anything to be possible. Like, I think people only see life from the perspective of what they've seen around them, and then they're stuck. Like, I only see these type of possibilities, whether you only see these type of relationships, you only seen these type of career. But I really urge you to step outside of that and think about, what do you want? What possibility do you want? Not just because of what's around you, but what really sets your soul on fire. And the big question is, it should help you answer, what am I doing with my life?
Absolutely. And the thing that is the way to reverse engineer that, like you're saying, look at that question of what am I doing? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be? We do avoid those things because they're wild, uncomfortable. And when we don't have the answer, it's like, I just don't know. I'm going to try to do today. I'm going to try to make it to tomorrow. And that's all you're going to get from me right now, which is understandable. However, when you're like you said, you're doing yourself a disjustice by keeping yourself short-sighted because you never let yourself look out onto the horizon and consider things that you might think were impossible for you. You're selling your whole life short, and that's not worth it for anything. Like, that's just, the time does pass by, and we look around and form those regrets about the things where you're like, I really should have done that. Like, I should have just done it at the time. I shouldn't have waited 5 months. I shouldn't have waited 15 years, you know? And now I feel like it's too late. And those things, when you look at that bigger purpose and the bigger fulfillment that you're seeking with your life, it will show you how the things that you can do today will align, that discipline that you can have around those things that you do on a daily basis will align into starting to influence the creation of those larger outcomes as you work on it consistently.
I love that you said what you can do today, because I think we as individuals don't understand the power of our habits and how our habits, our daily habits, create our outcomes. Now, you can have positive or negative habits, and you may not even realize that a certain element in your life that you're practicing is a habit, but because it's so natural to you. It's so natural to you. But this action that you are doing every day, it's helping or it's hurting your entire life. So it's time to sit down and also think about, what are my daily habits? Are they helping me, or are they hurting my overall vision and goal for myself?
And one of the things that I have seen in line with that in the time that I've spent working with people one-on-one is people will have an area of their life that they want to work on, or something that they feel discouraged about who they are currently. And we want to fix all of it all at once. Right? So you might have a slow process of coming to your own awareness, or it might be like wham and hit you all at once. And then all of a sudden you're like, this has to change. However, what we don't realize is that you can start creating change with 5 minutes a day. And it's not realistic for you to take a huge chunk and expect it to be different by the end of the week. You actually have to give yourself the grace and patience, because it took this long for you to gain 30 pounds. It's going to take a little bit of time for you to lose it, boo. Right? So we have to keep that in, it took you this many years to get disgruntled at your job. It's going to take you that time and process to go through getting really aligned with something of a career that feels very fulfilling for the long term. And it's worth it because it is for the long term. So starting with a really small chunk can be something that I see for people kind of takes the pressure off it a little bit, where it's like, don't think that you're going to have this figured out by tomorrow, but also don't get discouraged that it's going to take forever. We do a little bit. One of the books that I read early on in my personal development epiphanies was called The Slight Edge. And I highly recommend this book. And the book talks about the process of the slight edge is exactly that, like the compound interest of your life. So we start with these very small investments in ourselves. And it's the same process of financial investments where you put away $5 every single day. And it's the compound interest that earns over time when you continue to do that same very small action again and again has so much more magnitude than if you were to try to put it all away all at once and be like, oh, put that huge chunk there forever. So I think, at least for me, that's what took the pressure off when I first started, is I was like, oh, okay, like just do a little bit at a time. Give yourself space, give yourself patience. You will get there, and even if you're not all the way there tomorrow, you won't be where you are today. And that was encouraging for me.
I think for me, actually, you just reminded me. For me, it was all about enjoying the journey. We're so addicted to getting to the outcome so fast that we're not enjoying the journey of creating whatever transformation in our life. And it's not about that every step of the journey is gonna be so fulfilling and so bring you so high. You're gonna be so excited all the time. No. Sometimes you're not gonna want to do the daily habit. Sometimes there's gonna be an excuse in your mind that brings you back to your comfort zone, and you have to battle that in order to get what you need to get done. And you always feel better when you keep your promise to yourself. You always feel better. Always feel better when you keep your promise to yourself. Always.
Even when it's 5 minutes of promise.
Even when it's 5 minutes of promise. Always feel better when you do. And it's really like, I think about it, to enjoy the journey of life. When you're building something great, it takes time. So many individuals want to rush this process. And oftentimes when you rush this process, you are more susceptible to having things go wrong. You are more like, it's likely that if you're not taking the time to build, if you're not taking the 5-minute daily habits and you're just going for the shortcut, it's not always the best journey. It's not always the best outcome. It may look like you accomplished it, but there's always things that you'll have to go back and fix. There's always things that you're going to be missing out on. I think of people that build projects and then they try to rush it by doing cheap supplies, or they try to they try to take the shortcut, and then the longevity of that outcome is compromised. And that sucks. That sucks. To me, that's not worth it. You might as well have had the patience, had the grace, and do the daily habit and enjoy the journey, the ups, the downs, the left, the right, and just even if documenting the journey helps you to embrace the experience more, do that. Document your journey of your little 5 minutes a day that create your big transformation. Do whatever you need to do to stay motivated, because motivation is something that you create. It's not, people look for an outside source for motivation. That's not how it goes down.
It's not you, boo.
You have to create it for yourself. And stop taking shortcuts. It's never worth it. I've never seen it. I don't know about you, Ari. I've never seen it worth it when people have taken shortcuts on their body, on their projects, on their business, on anything. Even building relationships and friendships. When people are like, when it's a red flag when people are like, I want to be a friend, or I want to do this, I want to jump in so fast. It's a red flag. What happened to the building process? What happened to that?
Yep. Building, and it's also about people who want to fill their time to get to the goal with a lot of doing. So it's less intentional activity and it's more just busy activity. And so we feel like if we did a lot today, then we're like, wow, I was accomplished. But it's like, you might have just been moving here the whole time. And so when you look back over the trajectory, you're still here because you were doing things unintentionally, or like you said, it's not building. It's not moving you forward. It's these things that are shortcuts where you have to go back and do it again, or you have exhausted yourself by using a lot of resources, time, energy, whatever it is. And you feel like you've been super busy the whole time, but you haven't really made true progress forward, upward. It's really challenging. I see that one a lot. I see that, especially in the world of entrepreneurship, where people are like, busy, fill your calendar with all the things. And you're like, but what are you doing?
How are you progressing?
Yes.
I see that all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. I see that all the time, man. I see that all the time. It's so funny because I was having a conversation with somebody about the tortoise and the hare race, and how, it's life though. You think you're moving so fast, and the tortoise is moving more efficiently. And what that means is like he's practicing self-discipline. He's motivating himself. Well, I don't know if the tortoise was a man or a woman, but the animal is assured that he's going to go from point A to point B and practices in small steps and gets to that outcome. So I think it's so reflective of this experience of people really embracing self-discipline and really analyzing what is my purpose? Where am I going in life? What are the next phases? And people view that question with so much pressure, but imagine if you didn't answer that question. Imagine if you never asked yourself, what am I doing with my life? Imagine if you never asked yourself, like, what does that even look like for someone to never to have any direction?
I think that's so. Everyone who's listening, you will have to have your own opinion about this. Maybe y'all could get together and talk to each other. But I think it's so common if it doesn't come to us in like a natural talent or something that we feel a real inclination or propensity to be a part of. I think that oftentimes that is what happens is we just fall into the job that someone else wanted us to do, or we get into the relationship that was comfortable, but it's not necessarily exciting and fulfilling. And you find yourself doing these same things, your day-to-day actions, things that you're choosing consistently again and again that aren't bringing you to a different place in life. And you don't know what that different place is, so you don't know how to change what you're doing to affect where you're heading. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the things that we can get caught up with our day-to-day activities and choices are actually distractions. They're things that are keeping you from having to answer that question. Again, like, I don't have time to talk about what I should be doing, right? I don't have time to wonder if I'm working on the right things in life because I'm just busy, boo. Like, that's just what it is. And I think that that's hard too because it's just like I'm distracted.
But are you? It's like, are you busy? Or like you're either busy or you're progressing. Like, are you busy or are you progressing? That's something else to ask yourself. Like, it goes along with the idea of what am I even doing? But am I busy or am I progressing? Am I moving forward in my life? Am I moving upward in my life?
Yeah.
Such a good point. Such a good point.
Yeah. And those distractions, oftentimes we will experience that as being on autopilot, right? So it's like if you're just going through the motions and you don't have the intention behind the reason or the why or the particular outcome that you're looking to work towards. And those things can be so simple as just like, I want to, they're similar to like New Year's resolutions. But they pack more punch because we're keeping our promises out here, you guys. We're not making empty, like, I want to be healthier this year. And then you actually never changed any of the day-to-day things that you were doing. And so your results never changed. But I think people can really get stuck in that place of doing that same, like I was saying, like doing the same relationship, doing the same job. It's easy. I get a paycheck. I'm okay. Right? Like, how many people, when you interact with them and people do this exchange, this weird human exchange when we first greet each other, and you'll be like, how are you? And they'll be like, I'm good. Right? And then, like, you're over here and you're like, I'm doing great. Like, I'm working on my goals. Like, I'm in 8 areas of life. I'm excited. I'm happy in my relationship. I feel good. I look good. And you're like, how do I respond in a way that doesn't make them uncomfortable because I'm really working on myself over here? And they're like, how are you?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
I've been on both sides. It's so funny.
Exactly.
I really have. I've been on both sides, I will say, because when I think of someone that is operating an autopilot, I think of an individual that is scared to make decisions.
Totally. Avoiding the decisions.
Avoiding,
that are
and you're scared to make decisions. And I remember in my earlier life, I had a lot of powerful people around me that were brilliant and everything, and very big, bright energies. And I realized that I relied on them to make decisions for me. And because you kind of get stuck with being nervous about the outcome if you made the decision, and you're navigating with this fear inside of you, and so you rely on people's opinion, you rely on outside influences and forces to navigate your life, and it's always being like your opinion or your fulfillment is always being leveled down. It's always being controlled. It's always like, you're almost like suppressing what you truly want.
Yeah.
To stay stuck in the
I don't trust
comfort
it.
of autopilot. Yeah, I don't trust
Yes.
it. I don't trust myself. Yes. And that actually may even be the reason why a lot of people can't be honest with themselves, is because they don't trust themselves. You haven't built a safe space within yourself to be able to feel, say, think anything. And if you haven't had that safe space within yourself, how are you going to create anything in your outside, in your external world? And I really think I'm having a breakthrough with this as well. I really think the decision making is such, being able to make strong decisions in your life, and also believe that you make healthy decisions and believe in the power of your choice, can actually get you out of that autopilot mode. And because that's how people stay stuck. They stay stuck in that relationship. They stay stuck in the career. They stay stuck because ultimately you don't trust yourself, and you don't trust your feelings and your emotions that are warning you that this may not be the place that I need to be in. And you have to get uncomfortable to create anything else. For you to stop being in autopilot mode means that you have to become the pilot. You have to become the creator and the pilot of your life. How scary is that? It's the most fulfilling thing in the world. It's terrifying. It's the most fulfilling thing in the world, but you have to practice your decision-making skills. You have to build a healthy self-esteem. You have to get emotionally vulnerable with yourself and sometimes other people. You can no longer suppress your desires if you let go of that autopilot mode. It's comfortable. That's why your comfort zone is the worst thing in life. If you're in a world where you're living in comfort, because it can be seductive, it can be attractive, it could be routine for you, and you have to break that in order to change anything, in order to get out of that autopilot mode.
And that's what we say at Equality Education, is get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you are feeling uncomfortable in the things that you're putting yourself through every day, in terms of you'll know the discomfort, right? It's uncomfortable in a growth sense because it's you doing the thing that you don't feel like doing. It's not uncomfortable because it doesn't feel safe, or because it doesn't feel like it's not making you feel good about yourself. That's a different kind of uncomfortable, right? But it's like when you're doing the thing that you're dreading because you would rather not, you'd rather just stay in the pattern. That's actually when you know you're on the right path. That's actually a symptom of you doing the right thing. And like you're saying, you have to truly become the pilot. The way for you to build that trust when you feel like you're questioning yourself, or you're not sure, or you've never done it before and you don't know if this is the right decision, is for you to look at the things that are making you question yourself in the first place, if that makes sense. So
I love that. Yeah.
Because they're always there. Like, your life is giving you the signals that you can always trust.
Yeah.
So I know when the relationship is not for me. And I spend so much time being comfortable, ignoring all of those signs again and again, because I'm like, well, this could be okay. But you know the whole time, your intuition is the thing that you can start getting familiar and building a relationship with, for you to have that trust as a thing that you don't have to make the decision at first, right? It will show you. It will show you the way. It will show you those things. Like everybody who's listening right now, I bet you could name 5 things in your life that you are like, I could be doing this differently because I know that what I'm doing now is keeping me from a greater version of myself. That is your intuition, and that's where you can start building trust. So you don't have to immediately know that, like, when I have a thought, I know the answer, I know it's the right answer, I could go take action on it. That's great. Start again with those really small things. And this is one of the things that we do where we actually look at our habits and do an audit of it and see what are the things that you're choosing that are either not leading you down the right path and you could change it, even though if you don't know if you could trust it yet. Or the things that you know that you might be practicing a little bit and you could do more of. And that's really important too, because a lot of times your mistrust or your doubt or your lack of self-confidence or courage or whatever in yourself is an idea that someone else planted in you that makes you question who you are. And that really sucks because
it does. It's horrible. What a horrible experience. It's a horrible experience. And there's such a process when it comes to regaining the trust within you. It's such a process. Like and that's why it's important to start small. And I love what you said. Think about what external influences are really impacting your capabilities to trust yourself. But you start small with the decision making. If you start small and then get bigger and bigger and bigger, make bigger decisions, you will practice trusting yourself, and you will create the safe space, and you'll practice self-compassion. And then more will start unveiling to you about what you truly want. Your purpose in life, your fulfillment, what really drives you will actually rise from underneath. It would rise from from your gut. It will rise from your gut when it comes, like, you'll finally feel that foundation of self building inside of you. You will.
Yes. It gets easier for you to figure out the things that other people lied to you about.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
And it's easier to identify. It's easier to identify when people are doing it again. It's so easy to identify. I don't even play that. Like, I don't play none of that. Like, once I can see someone trying to, put any self-doubt within me or manipulate me or whatever in any type of way, it is clipped. It is over. I don't even allow that in my space, because you've built such a sense of self. You've built your purpose, your fulfillment, and you're practicing self-discipline. You're not even allowing outside forces to mess with the relationship that you have with yourself. The most important relationship is the relationship you have with yourself. And that's upheld by your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. That's the relationship with yourself.
Yep. Here's the thing. What if I'm doing something right now and it's the only way I see? That's what I see so many people challenge with. It's like, I've never worked a different job. I've never been in love with anyone else. This one hurt my soul.
Oh my gosh, but this goes back to trusting yourself, because you have to trust yourself into entering the unknown. You have to trust yourself to go where you've never thought, like, you have to go into a place that you've never have experienced before, never witnessed before. That's where you trusting yourself really does play its part. And that allows you to have new experiences. That allows you to, I know it's so, actually, when you're committed to staying in that relationship that you don't want to, staying in that job, you are clearly practicing not trusting yourself, because you don't think that you can handle the unknown. And how much of a lie is that? How much BS is that?
Yep.
How much? Come on.
And you don't think that you can handle the unknown. You don't think that you're worthy of an outcome that's so much greater than what you're currently experiencing. You don't think that you can have all those things that you see other people having. You think that's for them, it's not for me. It broke my heart. I worked with someone years ago, and they told me that they didn't know where to start with loving themselves because they had never done it and they didn't know what it felt like. And I think that's such a common experience for people because we are always, because our brain is programmed to choose that familiar thing, we don't want to go into, like, even when you talk about that, where it's like going into the unknown, that's really, it almost, yeah, it's really scary.
Yeah.
It paints this picture of like this big dark place where it's like, I don't know which direction to go out there. Why would I enter that? And I think for people, if you have kept yourself from something even as small small and as huge as giving yourself love about being worthy and being capable and being able to accomplish things bigger than what you experience today, that seems so far away. It's like, I could never let myself be that uncomfortable day to day. I would just die. I would just die.
I want to actually go back to your point about the person that was talking to you.
Yes.
This is something that I took with my life that actually changed the game, right?
Please share.
If you have someone in your life that are exhibiting the habits or practicing the things that you want, I ask, how are they doing it?
Yep.
Like, I ask, all right, how many times have I asked you, how are you doing this? I ask my friends, I ask people that I know. I just ask. I have that.
Yes.
You have to have that ability to talk to people and say, "Ooh, I love their relationship. I wonder what they do, what they practice, or I love the career that she has or he has. Let me ask them a few questions." If you like have that time, people are willing to share too. What? People that have been through it,
they're complimented by it.
They're complimented by it, and they want to share.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think people are scared to ask individuals that they see are displaying the things that they want, how are you doing it? But I think it's so important. I ask how you get their journey of what they've had to overcome, how they accomplish it, and etc. And then you adapt it to your life. You ultimately say, you know what, let me put this on, let me try this.
Yep.
And that ultimately creates new outcomes for yourself. There's so many times I've seen other women wear an outfit and I'm like, how did you even put this together? Because your body type is similar to my body type and I need to know how to be that fly. And it takes nothing to ask those questions. Actually, that's why your community is so important. How many times my community has given me life advice, relationship advice, career advice, school advice that changed my life.
And you have to be willing to try on the outfit that you wanted to look cute on you, but it wasn't for your body type. And for you to be like, that's all right, okay, I tried it, I'm going to go on to the next one. Right, exactly.
Doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. And we did this so well when we were little kids. Like, you had no problem twirling in your dress in the street and not caring who was watching. You had no problem when you fell out of the tree and embarrassed yourself in front of everyone. It was just like, we weren't even aware of that sense of self, that we then grow that consciousness, but sometimes it comes in a way that is really limiting and inhibits us from wanting to ever look silly or look like we failed or tell someone you tried and have to try again. We hate it. We hate it. Right? So one of the things that you can start with when we are talking about all these little 5-minute things that you're doing every day that create these magnificent outcomes for you is asking yourself, what are the things that are stopping you from achieving what you want? Because that'll be the first place that you can start, even if you are terrified of the unknown, as we all are. It's not just you, boo. And right, and we're those people, but it's just like the other choice of not going into the unknown is so much more painful and costly and unpleasant than what it is once you actually just like dive in and get your feet wet, and then you're like, that wasn't that bad and I feel better about myself now, you know. I think the biggest thing that really changed my life, and then we applied it in our business together, and I love it because it brings us absolutely magnificent outcomes, is the choice to live intentionally instead of being passive. So this is what we talked about before, where it's like, okay, if you're just going through the program of what you have every day, then you just continue to get that same outcome that you've always created. You're not going to experience anything different. You are being a passive participant in your life. You're somebody who's just letting life happen, and then you react to it. And the thing that we encourage at Equality Education and on Friends Who Want You to Win, we want you to get in front of that process. So we're talking about all of this because it's like, ask yourself those tough questions that you have been avoiding for your whole life, and decide what are the values and the goals and the desires and the things that you want to shape your life around. And again, even if you come up with an answer and you're not sure if it's right, try it anyways, and then just adjust it to fit you better as you continue to go. How many times have we done that, Soleil?
What?
Millions. How many times were we
adjusting.
like, this is going to be so good? And then we went through the process and we were like, on second thought.
But we're committed to making it work. So we adjusted early enough to say, how can we flip this? Like, what do we need to do to flip this? People wait so long in their life to flip it. You got to flip it real quick. You got to flip it right away. And what I mean by that is that you have to adjust in enough time to still create a positive impact in your life, in your business, in your relationship, or whatever it may be. You can't wait too long. You know, and it's actually, people see this in their relationships where they wait too long to adjust. So they wait too long to adjust, and then their relationship never adjusted. They never had that breakthrough. And then they break up because they never allowed that moment to occur in their life. And this is why I think it's important that people need to analyze, what are your goals, right? And we talked about this yesterday. You can expand on this, Ari. And what I mean by this is, what are your goals? Not the things you say, but the things you do.
Yep. Absolutely. And that also is another common misconception that we see, is that people think that their goal is something that they set their mind about. And then it's like, oh, I'm working towards my goal. And in actuality, your goal are the things that you are actively following through on or not. And we don't think about it this way. We think of a goal, like, you talk about a goal always as a work in progress, right? But if the things that you're doing, as we're explaining here, the things that you're doing, the things that you're choosing, the habits and the activities that you choose every day are the only thing that is affecting the outcomes you experience in life from your point of view, right?
Yeah.
So if you are saying you want one thing, but you're doing another, your actual goal was the thing that you did, not the thing that you said you wanted to do. Right?
Period.
So an example of this is, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds, you say that this is your goal, but you eat pizza every day and you don't work out, right? Your actual goal is to continue being unhealthy, because that's the reflection of what you're choosing every day. It has no matter what your intention was. You're not acting on your intention. It wasn't your goal.
Come on. If you have a healthy relationship, but you're not practicing communication, not spicing it up all the time, you are not putting in the energy for a healthy relationship. So you are satisfied with the dynamic of the relationship that you are in right now. Likewise with a career. Likewise with any area of your life. If you are unhappy with yourself, the relationship you have with yourself, but you're continuing and you're like, oh, I got to talk nicer to myself mentally. I have to have nicer thoughts. But then you're continuing to never practice the affirmations. You're continuing to never do the journaling exercise. You're continuing to keep upholding this negative viewpoint of yourself. You are comfortable in this negative viewpoint and your goal is to maintain it. Period. I love that you said that because it gives so much clarity to the impact of your actions. Because a lot of people say a lot of crap. Or I don't know if you a lot of people say, I want to do this. I want to do this. This is my goal. And they even do the daily habit. It's crazy. They do the daily habit. Like they'll go exercise and then they'll go have a whole thing of pizza. Like they're never straight up in alignment with what they actually want.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Exactly.
Come on. You want to have a healthy relationship, but you're consuming content about how the other sex is dangerous or how the other sex is whatever, like negative connotations all the time. You have to be aware of the actions that you are taking, little or big or small, period. Come on.
Absolutely.
I love that you said that.
And at the end of all of that, if you're doing all those things that Soleil just mentioned, and you're saying that you want one thing, but you're doing another, you, again, are the only person who's responsible for the state of your life at the end of that. Mm-hmm. How can we expect, what's the quote about how insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result?
Come on.
This is it, y'all. Like, this is your chance for you to take very small, little bite-sized pieces out of a bigger dream and image and goal that you have for yourself and hold yourself accountable along the way for you to be able to experience that thing that you want instead of talking yourself to death. Because that's what a lot of us are doing.
That's what a lot of us are doing. And when I see a person that is talking it, being it, acting it, to me, they show me they love themselves and they believe that they are worthy of the greatest version of their life. And I've seen it I've seen it in you, I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in people around me, that when they're committed to their goals, they talk it, they are it, they be it, and they practice it. I'm like, that person, they love themselves. And they love life, and they want the best out of this life. And I feel so inspired. When I see a person like that type of energy, I feel so inspired by it. Because that's like, that motivates me to be like, that's how I need to be in my life. Period. Yep. And I'm not now. I'm like that. I'm like, if I have a goal, people know I have a goal. I'm doing whatever I need to do. I'm being it. I'm acting it. I'm making it happen. I'm not just sitting on my behind and talking it. I see a lot of people talking it all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then you get into that spiral of talking it, doing something, self-sabotaging, talking it, doing something, self-sabotaging. What a waste of time and what a waste of life. What a waste of life if you're not practicing self-discipline. Go ahead.
I wish we could see the impact that it has on our mental and our physical state when we don't keep a promise to ourselves. Because it's massive. And it can be the smallest thing, and then those things pile up again and again, and they eat away at us. They use our energy up because it's this system that's running. It's an app that you're never shutting down. You're stringing yourself along in the relationship with you. And the thing about what you're saying when you see those beautiful...
I love that you said that. Say that again. Yes. I love that. You're stringing yourself along. Love that.
In your relationship with you are, because you're like, yeah, babe, tomorrow we're going to do it. And every time that you make that promise when you've broken it 10 times before, you've already given yourself a space to break it again and not hold yourself accountable. And it messes us up. And what I wanted to say about what you said, when we see those beautiful, empowered people who are living that life and we compare ourselves to them and then it makes us feel bad about who we are, the truth of the matter is... The truth of the matter is you are worthy of all of those same outcomes for your own truth about who you want to be. You have the same capacity to do your own thing in your own version of your life. It shouldn't look like theirs. It shouldn't be compared to theirs. It should be you defining you, you choosing you, and you acting on your truth a little bit every single day. And then you will start to see your life follow. We promise 100%. And you are worthy of that. Everybody has the chance for them to create it for themselves. It's about you having the courage to follow through on this process we're talking about. But you're worth it. You don't get to use that excuse.
You're worth it. You're worth it. Even when you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing it today, you have to ask yourself, is that comfort really worth a piece of me and my goal and what I truly want? You have to know that you're worth it. I see people like that, they're glowing. We always say people look healthy. They look healthy. Like people are operating in a way where they're in alignment within themselves, and they're whatever they have integrity with themselves. They look healthy. Like,
and they're magnetic.
Just like physically, they're glowing. They're Yes.
You could be magnetic too, boo.
You are. But you know what? I really feel people are in their spirit glowing and healthy and magnetic. I think you take on the external factors. You take on the self-doubt. You take on like the excuses. You take on those things, and those things are dimming your light little by little every single day. It's impacting your relationships. It's impacting with yourself and others, your relationship with yourself and others, your career, every area of your life, and you're allowing that to happen. You're allowing that to happen. That would make me sick to my stomach. I remember when I myself realized that I wanted a different outcome in my life, and and I knew what I need to practice, and every time I would not commit to it or had an excuse and etc., I realized I am allowing myself to run away. I am allowing myself to be comfortable. And you have to, is that really worth it? It's never worth it.
No.
It's never worth it. It's never worth it.
But if I've never been in that dark, scary, presumably terrible unknown, which is actually secretly so much better and so much more fulfilling and so much more amazing, then it looks like where I am is actually the better or the only choice. It looks like my comfort zone is the place that is where I've always been, and it's cool because I know how to like vibe over here, right? When in actuality, it is creating more of an uncomfortable long-term result for you. If you were able to step into that, the only reason why it feels so crazy and like and unattainable is just because you haven't tried. That's it.
Well, it's so simple when you say it like that.
And it is that simple because you don't have to do it all at once. It is that simple. It's you try one thing for 5 minutes a day, and you're like, you know what was one of the biggest realizations I had was when I went on my own fitness journey to change my life and completely changed everything about the rest of my results for the rest of my life. I thought I had to work out the way I saw other people work out. And I tried it, and I was like, I hate this. I was like, it's terrible. I hate it. And it was really discouraging because I was like, man, like the way that I need to accomplish my health goals is by doing this thing. And I tried it and I really hate it. I think I had like a mentor or a trainer at the time. I can't really remember what happened, but someone gave me the suggestion of like, do the thing that you like to do in that category. You don't have to do the thing that you see other people doing and think that you have to get good at it or love it. And that's the only option. Right? So I shifted into being like, oh, okay, and one of the things I knew I was good at my whole life was stretching. I was just like flexible from a young age, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna start there, boo. I don't even have to run 5 miles. Right? And so it was the smallest thing, and it gave me the confidence to be in the gym on a yoga mat, but actually have my own little zone of comfort in this terrible, uncomfortable unknown, and be like, oh, I'm starting here, and I can be in the same space with all these people who are really good at these things that I just found out that I don't love. And I like piecemealed it, and it leads you into that process where you picked the thing that you liked so it didn't completely discourage you. And then I gained a whole bunch more skills and found out a million things I had never tried that I loved about fitness and being active and using my body, and completely changed my life.
You know why I love the story that you said, and congratulations on changing your life, because that's, I don't know if you guys know, but that's a big deal, y'all. Huge deal, right?
Worth it.
What I love about what you said about you're still worth it. What I love about what you said is your story has, ups, downs, left, right. It goes in so many directions. And to me, there is purpose in that story. And what I mean by that is because you've learned so many lessons. Life was happening and you were enjoying the journey, which ultimately actually made an impact on your purpose. That's why we're even able to talk about it today. Like, people have this idea that purpose and passion in life is directly for their job or their career, but it is also who you are. It's also the journey. It's what you do. And you were able to literally have that moment, even though it's about your physical body, the lessons that you carried on with that, you were able to give them to other people because you were aligned in that moment. You were aligned in the purpose of what you were doing in that moment. And I think people have this idea, the thing that people place so much value in their job or their career or what they're doing, but they don't place value in what they're doing in their life personally, what they're who they are. To me, purpose is so much bigger than your career. It's your journey of life. It's your journey. It's the roles you play. It's your life in its entirety. That's your purpose. Yes. Enjoying every day, progressing, creating. That's being passionate and purposeful in your life.
And I love this concept because I hear so many people do that. Like, they talk about like, oh, it's not for me, this type of thing. And I was somebody who only did the certain like physical activities when I was younger. I didn't like play all the sports. I like did the one things that I did or whatever. And I wasn't this like super fitness person. And that's what, when I went on this fitness journey, that was what kind of held me back and made me question myself. But I was able to find the thing that gave me purpose. I wasn't trying to look like everyone else. I just did the thing that resonated with me. And then I was able to actually expand my perception of my identity over time. I was able to find purpose and passion, like you said, in something that's not related to my career. It's not like, what's your purpose in life? What are you here to do? Which is what a lot of people always talked about it. I was able to, you actually should find purpose and passion in all of your 8 areas of life. So
in life,
I didn't have a previous like purpose in fitness because I was avoiding it, because I was nervous about it, because I felt like I wasn't good at it. And so I started to slight edge myself with these very small little things that I could feel good about a little bit at a time. And then over time, I infused my identity with this whole part of life that's really important and I feel so passionate about. And I work to inspire and motivate people around all the time because I changed my life and you can too in this way. And it developed for me. It wasn't something I was innately born with that I resonated with. It was something that I practiced over time. I let myself get a little bit more and more into the unknown. And then it became a massive purpose and passion in my life that had nothing to do with like, my career and what I get paid for.
I love that you said that because it goes into alignment with your purpose being a deep meaning or a direction. It could be anything. It could be working out. Yes. It could be being with your children. It could be anything. It could be roaming the islands. It could be anything. But as long as you have some meaning in your life and direction, to me, that's what purpose is. Purpose is the journey. It is the story of who someone creates themselves to be.
Yes. And sometimes the thing that you can ask yourself, like, what do I want to stand for? How do I want to feel every day? How do I want to live? Sometimes you can find the answer in the thing that you've been avoiding. So you're trying to like create this whole perception and version of who you are, when in actuality you could have all of this meaning and purpose in the thing that you've been keeping from yourself because it feels so scary and unknown. And that's what happened to me. So, and I was like, wow, look at all this that was over here for me. Whoa.
Wow. But it's important. You know what? Actually, you had a vision for yourself, and then you aligned your choices to that vision, which is powerful. I want the audience to really think about, am I aligning my choices with my vision? And does it bring me purpose? Does it bring me meaning? Does it unlock something special inside of me? That's something to think about. Because once you're clear on the life you want, once you're clear on the goals, you're intentionally, your thoughts, your feelings and emotion, you're intentionally moving through life. You're creating with intention. So it's important to be clear. It's important to align your choices. And so many people's daily choices aren't aligned with their big vision because they're unclear, as what we said earlier, of what they want, or they're afraid of doing the hard work to get there, but you were able to do the hard work to get there. And it's about embracing the entire journey. It's about allowing life, like embracing life, embracing purpose. Because you don't know what that journey is going to teach you things that are going to be outside of what you've accomplished. And then you're going to be able to bring that to other people.
Yes, absolutely. And it should be things that you are, the idea is for you to find that what you thought was so hard, the topic of like having to discipline yourself around these things, for you to realize that the discipline is more about doing it consistently rather than doing a lot of it all the time.
Well, then once.
Right? So it takes the hard work out of it. So we want you to kind of eliminate that as an excuse. If that's something that you've been using, is it's hard, I don't have the resources to start, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, any of those things that are in the category of it being too hard for you to do now, we just busted your bubble, bro. You can't get away with it over here. We want you to win. So we're here to tell you it's not something that, even if it feels hard in your mind, like for me, when I was doing that fitness journey, I had that big goal of losing 100 pounds, and it didn't even like, I couldn't even say it without like giggling because I felt like I was lying to myself. Like, my girl, who you think you are? You go do this thing. You don't even know anything about it. You don't even know how to run on the treadmill, girl. What are you talking about? But when you do that 5 minute, when you start with those very small tasks, when you try a new thing and then give yourself the space to pivot if it doesn't work and try something else, when you do what you mentioned before, Soleil, which is choose things that you are finding joy in along the path. It's not always about reaching that really big end goal. Make it easy on yourself to do a little bit all the time, and then your life doesn't have to be hard to change. It's just
hard. Man, when people tell me they want something and then they say they're not able, it's hard, but it's hard. It just tells me that you believe you can't do it. And that's so...
Which is also a lie.
Heartbreaking. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a belief that is crippling your life.
Yes.
By saying that it's hard. And I'm not talking about like I'm not talking about things that are going to put you in danger. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your desires. You have a desire to do something, and your excuse is telling me that it's hard. You just don't believe that you're capable. And that tells me that you need to nurture your self-esteem more. You need to go out and accomplish. You need to appreciate the accomplishments you've already done and celebrate your wins to see how remarkable you are already. And you need to go out and try new things. You just need to try new things. And you need to see how magnificent you truly are. Because I hate the excuse that it's hard. I think it's so like disappointing. I'm being honest with you. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing. When people say, it's so hard, I'm like, what is really hard about it? And then you think about what is really hard about it. And it's not that it's actually hard. It's that you don't want to do it. And it's whether it's lack of self-confidence, whether it's fear, whether it's anything, it just doesn't bring your full potential to life. It doesn't bring your full potential to life. You might as well just say, I can't. There's just so many things that come to my mind, but it just doesn't play well. Like, I can't do it. That doesn't even hurt. Like, if you believe you can't do it right now, I want you to take on, I can't yet. Not yet. I'm getting there, though. Take on that mindset. I just hate the word hard. I haven't tried.
The thing is we've all, and everyone needs to hear this as well, because anyone who is listening can resonate with this, because we all grew from little babies who didn't know nada. That we've all been in the same place where we were trying to figure out something that we didn't know anything about and we didn't have any experiences with, right? So that's not a bad thing. We're so programmed to view that as a bad thing and to try to avoid ever being in a place where you don't know anything. And like you said before, use your capacity to learn from other people to empower your own capabilities before you even see you being capable at it. Pick the one thing, like stretching, that you're like, I can do that, and start there. It doesn't have to be this whole well-rounded, perfectly developed version of yourself for it to be okay. It's okay to feel hard to do. Do what we are saying, which is the small little chunks. Stop giving yourself excuses that you know in the back of your head are a lie.
Don't work.
Right? And don't feel uncomfortable that you are starting at square one. That is not a bad thing. We are here to Sully and I started at square one. How many times a week do we start at square one? So like,
a lot.
I've lost count.
A lot.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps the journey interesting, I tell you. I'll tell you that. It keeps the journey interesting.
It's a requirement. It does.
Yes, it
keeps
does.
it exciting, and then I get to have new experiences all the time that bring me joy, and we get to share in it together because we both tried something new, and then you learn what works and you learn what you like and what you don't like. And it's amazing.
And you know, not for nothing, people don't realize how miraculous they are. And what I mean by that, you didn't tell yourself when you were a baby, then you took your first steps, that it's going to be hard to walk. You didn't tell yourself. You saw people do it and you were like, I'm going to walk. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna show these adults something. I'm gonna put my 2 feet, get the strength in my legs, and I'm gonna walk. How miraculous are you that you were able to walk from your 2 feet and you came from a little seed inside of someone's belly and you were not developed? You were able to. Your body is so magnificent. Your organs are operating by itself without you thinking about it. How blessed are you? How magnificent, how magical are you? You're going to tell me that you've come this far in life and you're going to tell me something's hard? How limiting. How limiting. You are so magnificent. Whoever is listening, you are so magnificent. You are a miracle. And you've accomplished so much so far. Just breathing, having lungs, and being capable to breathe in the air. and have it be into your body, and your body be able to actually walk and move your hands and talk and engage with life. You are so miraculous in so many ways. Act like it. Act like it. Get the most out of this life that you're given. Act like it. That's what I say. Act like it, y'all. Because
she told you.
Come on. That's like...
It's all that.
I think hard is like a trigger word, I think, for me or something. Because I think people have put onto me that something is hard. And I'm so glad that one of my parents told me to not take that on. They were like, no, it's not hard. Don't tell her that. Because it would have blocked so many experiences in my life. I wouldn't know my capabilities if I believed everything was hard. So I think I'm hearing my parent in my head go like, yelling a little bit like, hard? What do you mean hard? That's it? That's your excuse? It's hard? What is that? You're built so much stronger.
And everything is figure outable. That's just a fact. You made it this far, right? Exactly. You figured out your way.
You know what's so funny? I'm teaching a girls group right now, and I had a young girl who is in middle school, and she's terrified of going to high school. Terrified. I mean, terrified, girl. She is terrified. And I don't know if you know, like, that moment of transition was very difficult. To go from middle school to high school, not knowing what's going to happen. But guess what? You are forced to do it. You are forced to go to high school and navigate your way through there. And I promise, if you have graduated high school, congratulations for navigating an uncomfortable experience. Congratulations. You did it. Now keep doing that. Keep doing that. Just because we're scared doesn't mean we can't do it, right?
That progression of that realization is what just happens again and again. Because we look back now on your 8th grade self when you were going to high school or whatever you did after you left middle school. And we realized that it felt like such a big deal at the time. And now you look back on your life and you're like, girl, that was light work. Like, that was just so far off from all the challenges I've been through since that time.
If you are an adult on this call, when we discovered what bills are and what, and what we have to do to adulting and everything, right? High school is nothing,
right? Exactly. But here's the thing: is that you'll continue to have that same experience as you allow yourself to get further and further into this process. You every time will realize, like, Soleil and I have been running the company for over 4 years now, and when I look back on the first versions of ourselves, like, it was so close in the scheme of my whole life, and I look back and I'm like, we were so little, we didn't even know anything. We didn't even know what we didn't know.
We did not know.
But that's what's really beautiful, is that it can feel like such a big deal in this moment. And we promise you, when you stick with it and you just go into that unknown that feels wildly uncomfortable and you just show up on the first day of high school, you will figure it out. Your track record is 100% for always figuring it out because you are still alive.
Period.
You're at an A++.
Come on.
A++.
You figured it out, right?
100%, boo. Yes. Yes.
You're here. You figured it out. Love that.
Yes. Exactly.
You figure that out. Now it's time to create. Now it's time to get into that mode where you're visioning your life. You're thinking about the goals that you want to accomplish, and you have the faith in yourself to have that self-discipline and take those small steps at one step at a time. You have the accountability instilled. You figured it out. Now let's get to the next level. Like, what's really stopping you? Is that really worth it? It's not worth it. So let's maintain the momentum by believing in ourselves to such a level that it's like nothing can stop us from our goal. Become that warrior where it's like nothing will stop me from getting from point A to point B, even myself. even myself, I won't stop myself. I'm going to get to that point. If you need the motivation to be disciplined and you're on this podcast, I hope you are stopping this podcast and saying, I need to get this done right now to accomplish my daily habit, to create whatever it is, to create that healthy relationship, to create that physical body that you want, to create whatever it is, that career, to get that degree, whatever it is, to create a healthier relationship with myself. I'm going to take that 5-minute walk of breath of fresh air and give love to myself. Whatever it is that you're creating, let's start right now. Stop stopping yourself and stop allowing outside factors to stop you, because it's not worth it at all.
It's not. When you look back, it will not be worth it. And one of the excuses that we hear all the time is that when people run out of their own momentum because they don't feel motivated in the moment, and it keeps them from actually getting the thing done. And so one of the things that I love for us to kind of like the myth to bust with people is you shouldn't be looking to motivation for you to rely on in the moment when you need to keep your promise to yourself. Motivation is fleeting, right? The thing that is always going to be there is your ability to train yourself to show up for the commitments that you've made. So you can listen to this podcast to get motivated. You could go on YouTube and type in inspirational workout jams, right? And hopefully these things will put some fire in your butt, right? Yeah. But when they don't, the only thing that you can rely on is your ability to be consistent. And so we want to shift the focus and the fact that people freak out about that, right? Like, oh my God, I have to do this thing and do it every day and all the time. And discipline is terrifying to me because I have to commit. And what if I mess up? Remove all of that pressure with the tips that we've given so far about taking small things, finding things that you like, taking it 5 minutes at a time so it doesn't feel overwhelming. And you will build your discipline by practicing consistency and letting go of the fact that you need to feel motivated to get up and do the thing. You need to get up and do the thing because it's what you have chosen. Yes, it's what you've chosen is a part of who you are. It's where you have placed your intention and your values and your passion and your focus. And it has meaning to you. Now, the thing that can motivate, that is very motivating for people and will help you remain consistent, is write it on your forehead, write it on your mirror, write it on your dog, wherever, your why. Okay?
Your why.
Figure out, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I want to be there in my children's life because I maintain my health? Am I doing this because I want to build legacy through financial freedom that everybody in my family can experience? Am I doing this because 10 years from now, I'm going to have the resources to travel the world and that's been a dream of mine forever? Whatever that why is, that will be the thing that gives you the consistency that you need in the moment to spend 5 minutes doing your thing. And then once you spend 5 minutes, don't lie to yourself. Ask yourself, can I spend 5 more, 15 more, 30 more, an hour more? If the answer is yes, get it done.
Get it done. You know why I love that point that you just said is because a lot of people make decisions based on their emotional state. And ultimately, if you don't know this, that is not the way to make a decision. That is not it. Okay?
Emotions are a lie, boo.
Emotions can lie to you. It could straight up lie to you. If you don't know how to process those emotions through and take a break and learn to step away from them so that you can choose the choice that you really wanted to choose versus what the emotion is bringing out of you, man, come on. Like, I've seen so many individuals make horrible life decisions on a consistent basis because of what they feel. And that will always take you away from what you truly want to create. It always takes you away from your goal. And that, I can't explain, like, that motivation, when you're so tied to your emotions, I see people sabotaging their whole entire life. It's true. It's true. And I had another middle schooler the other day, and she told me that when she got angry, she practiced taking a walk. And I was like, wow, that's such a great, what you practice is emotional regulation. And if you don't know what emotional regulation is, it's almost like the practice that you do after you feel the emotion. Because people don't realize emotions come and go. They come and go. And then oftentimes, have you ever felt that feeling, or anyone that's listening, where you felt an emotion and then you made a decision from that emotion, and then you're like, what did I just do? What did I just do right now? I see so many people do. That clarity hits right after. Like, it hits right after you make the decision from being in that negative space. So I'm just saying, look, emotional regulation is the ability to manage and respond to emotional experiences in a healthy and adaptive way. So if you're not feeling like I want to go to the gym, if you're not feeling like I want to do something spicy in my relationship with my partner, or I don't want to go out with my friend, or I don't want to take out that walk, and you're susceptible to, because of how you feel, ultimately you just self-sabotaged your goal. Ultimately.
Literally. You know what's a pro tip? You know what's a pro tip off of that? When you have defined your future focus and you know your everyday tasks that are in line with that, and the time comes up for you to get that 5 minutes done, don't you dare ask yourself how you feel.
Don't you dare.
It's not relevant.
Get
it done. It's not relevant right now. You've made a promise. You're sticking to that promise. You have your why of how it's going to impact you and change your life for the better. And how you feel about doing that thing right now doesn't matter the slightest.
Doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Don't trick yourself again. Don't ask it.
And not for nothing, don't believe every emotion that comes to your body, that comes to your mind. Don't believe every emotion. Don't do that. Some people, I see people believe every emotion, and they stop themselves, and they're concerned so much about what they feel. But feelings are such a complicated, it's a complicated system. It's a complicated system. You can go, absolutely. Why am I feeling this way? Where did I learn that? I read a book one time. It said that emotions are a product of human agreement. And it's like sometimes our emotions are based on what we see other people agree that we need to be feeling when we have this experience. So you need to be able to practice emotional regulation. And while you're feeling it, you need to recognize it, label it, accept it, and then manage the intensity, and then self-soothe and choose what you really want to do. Don't ask yourself how you feel when you are doing your daily 5-minute exercise. But if you are stuck in that feeling, you need to self-soothe so you can reorganize and get clear on what you want. This is why clarity is important. That's why clarity is so important.
That's such a great way. I love what you said is such a great way for people to start getting their clarity is for you to look at the things that you have unconsciously or consciously agreed to, that you are allowing your feelings to dictate and navigate your life choices in that moment, right? So do I see people's perception of marriage and I allow it to dictate how I interact with my partner? Do I see people's perception of how hard it is to earn money, and then I allow that to be a limitation in the experience that I have in earning in my life, right? Do I see how hard people make a certain category of parenting or a certain age or and then you take on all of those external agreements and you have a feeling about it. If you let go of those expectations and you start from scratch and you go into the unknown, if you're in the unknown, it means you don't know anything about it yet.
Period.
Let it be unknown.
Let it be unknown. Discover it for yourself.
Yes.
Discover it for yourself. Discover this new journey for yourself. I love that.
Yes, absolutely.
Love that.
And in terms of finding those things that are fulfilling for you as you continue to get that clarity, the process of us being disciplined, the process of us holding ourselves accountable is leading to your long-term fulfillment, right? It is the thing that makes sure that you are continuously moving towards your goal. And we want to make sure that you have that process when you are feeling challenged in the moment, because this is the only thing that helps us, right? That's why we're like making such a point of it. The only thing that helps you is the fact that you are able to, it's almost like not trying to rationalize anything. You're just doing it. You just focus on being accountable for the thing, and it will continue to move you towards your goal. You don't try to find the motivation. You don't try to have it feel good right then.
Because what
it might
really
feel good
tomorrow.
In
life, 100%. Because what really matters in life is not to be honest with you, the impact of your life is what you do. What you do impacts your whole life experience. So you can feel motivated. You cannot feel motivated. What you choose next is what's going to create the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Period. That's really, and that what you choose next is either going towards your fulfillment or it's not. And you're choosing that. What is it you always say when you're choosing something? You always say like when you're always choosing. You're always manifesting. You're always choosing.
Yeah, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it.
You're choosing it. If you're not changing it, you're choosing it. So people think, especially when they're operating an autopilot or they're doing the same thing that they're doing again and again, that they think they have no power. And then no, that's your power, and you're using it effectively. You're just maybe not using it in the direction that you may want it to go.
Right.
But 100%.
And one of the things, this is like a big question that you need to ask yourself that we want to leave you off with, because it is what will affect everything. Your self-reflection, your ability to establish what you want in the future, your focus on what you pay attention to choosing today and tomorrow. The question overall that you need to ask yourself about your life is, would you rather make the more difficult choice for just those 5 minutes a day to create a life that is more fulfilling, that feels easier, that's more full of joy and all the things that you want for yourself? Or would you rather make that easier, which is the more comfortable, the more safe choice in the moment, that will lead you to a life that is ultimately harder in the long run, whether it's filled with dis-ease, hardship, unhappiness, sadness, loneliness, whatever it is? That is what you are choosing and creating. So I know it's like, it feels very heavy to position it that way, but honestly, those are the two paths that we're on. We're on one where we make a intentional small choice again and again and again that leads to an overall easier and more fulfilling life. Or we make the safe, comfortable feeling choice that actually creates harder outcomes that are less enjoyable for us overall.
And the choice is always yours. Now, let me ask you, audience, do you feel the tough love? Because we are sure giving it to you today. Okay, today is the day that we are really your friend, because your friends are supposed to be honest and tell you the truth and make sure that you are aligned with your goals and push you and tell you that even if you don't feel like it, you better do it. Period. Hello.
Better.
So I hope that you feel the tough love right now. And we want you to remember, like, confront the hard truths about your life choices. Audit your habits. Break free from comfort zones. Realign your actions with your visions and get clarity. What do I really want? So you don't have to ask yourself, what are you even doing? What am I even doing? You want to know what you really want. You want to have that sense of direction. You're going to know. You're going to know the answer to that question if you just align yourself completely.
Yes.
Thoughts, feelings, actions to you, what you want and your goals in this life. Come on.
Yes. And when it comes to finding that initial feeling of all this being worth it, because we don't want you to just feel overwhelmed and hopeless. When you need to understand why it's worth it, why you are worth it, you can start with those really the choices that you have right now.
No.
It does not have, we don't want to leave you with the pressure of you feeling like you have to be in your final form. That's not what we expect from each other. That's not what we expect from ourselves. We want you to work to build that sense of comfort when you're starting from square one and you're trying something new. You have to build yourself there with patience and grace. And that uncomfortable thing, like starting high school on the first day, will all of a sudden over time become comfortable, which is which we love. And it will become something where you feel like you're worth it because you kept those promises. And it led you to feel better about your life and experience outcomes that were exactly what you intended to create.
And you trusted yourself. You trusted yourself.
We love that for you.
How magical it is to trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. You are worth it, but trust yourself. We talked about this so much today. Trust yourself so you can dive into the unknown. You can know that you can handle whatever life is going to throw at you. And you're going to experience something new. And you trust yourself to make the right decision. You trust yourself into going into a new phase, a new discovery of life. How beautiful is that?
We love something new. If you're freaking out about something new, shoot us a message, send us a DM, comment on one of our posts, let us know. We will talk it out with you. Why? We will. Why are you... Right. Where do I start? Why do I feel so uncomfortable with something new? We are like open books. We will tell you every single thing we have tried that was a new thing that freaked us out before we did it. And sometimes we tried it and it didn't work. And sometimes we tried it and it was great and amazing and changed our life forever.
Right?
Try something new.
No, try something new, or even contact us if you listen to this episode and you were saying, man, like I've had this huge realization and I need to share it. Come on, we're the people to share it to. Email us, inbox us, whatever you need to do to get in contact, and let us know what one thing that you're committing to change. What was your biggest takeaway from today's episode? We want to hear that because it makes sure that we're always growing too. So it makes sure that we are providing value and knowledge and information that really does make an impact in your life.
Yes. Choose the one thing. It is a habit that you've identified during this conversation. It is a choice of something that you want different that you're working towards. And pick the activity that you will do for 5 minutes a day for now. It can change moving forward, but pick that thing that is your 5 minute a day. Schedule it in your calendar if you need to. Know what time you get it done every day. And practice that 5 minutes again and again. And when you do your 5 minutes and you find that you have 10 minutes, do 10 minutes. And continue to build in that direction. Yes.
And
then a month from now, when you've kept your promise 30 days in a row, add a second activity that you're working on.
Wow.
And start with 5 minutes.
Wow. And I know this episode was filled with tough love, but we love you all. And we want the best from you. And we want you to embrace your greatness. And we want to remind you, a reminder, self-reflection is not self-criticism. So don't listen to this episode and criticize yourself, because that is not what we're here to do. We are being brutally honest. We are self-reflecting. And we're making progress in our life.
And we're your friends who just want you to win.
Want you to win. Period. Peace out. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Friends Who Want You to Win, where we give you the everyday advice that you need to boost your self-confidence, build meaningful relationships, how to stop self-sabotage, and so much more.
Yes, but your story doesn't end here. If you are ready to break free from old patterns, step into your greatness, and take control of your life, our monthly membership is your next move.
Inside, you'll find life-changing tools, live expert guidance, and a community dedicated to supporting you to unlock your full potential.
So don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Reach out today for more info on why joining us will be the best decision you have ever made for yourself. Your greatness is waiting. Let's discover it together.
For more information on how to join, get in touch with us at www.theequalityeducation.com.